Good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning. We need to talk. Before I get my day fully started today, we need to talk. We need to talk. We need to talk. This was on my mind so heavy last night that, it was actually on my mind as I slept. It was actually on my mind as I slept. And when I woke up this morning after I did, all of my morning things, it was the first thing that popped up. I wanted to do a video on this last night, but I went to bed. I was tired. I went to bed. However, before I get my day started today, I want to do this video right now. And what is prompting this is all of the excitement that everybody is having around Claude Cowork. So Claude Cowork just released recently, and you have all of these people talking about, it went in and it cleaned up my computer, and I found so much space, and Claude Cowork is great, and this is going to be the future of AI agents and all of these different kinds of things. And there are a few things that you need to be aware of. Whether it is with any of these AI tools, AI companies that are creating upgrades that allow their AI tools into your computer to do whatever kind of work it is that you feel like you don't want to do. Okay. I want to encourage us to not be irresponsible here. I want to encourage us to not be irresponsible here. I understand the desire to have things done for you. I understand the desire for ease and for more simplicity in the way that you do your work. I mean, trust me, I say all the time, one of the things that I do is I grow my nails out long because I don't work hard. I say that all the time. I get it. Now, it doesn't mean that I don't get hard shit done. It just means I don't work hard. That's a completely different conversation. We'll have that conversation at a different time. And so I understand the desire for that. And you cannot allow your excitement about AI, your being enamored with all of these new amazing features with regard to AI to cloud your judgment when it comes to the security of your business, when it comes to the security of your business, and when it comes to the security of your intellectual property. Now follow me. For context, I am an AI consultant. Okay, I am an AI consultant. I've done AI implementation. We use AI in our business. And so I want to be clear about the fact that this is not an anti-AI video. This is not an anti-AI like, oh no, nobody should use AI. That's not what I'm saying. And I'm also not saying that this is one of those situations where I believe that AI needs to be heavily restricted and all of these things. And we got to get all the government involved and all this other kind of stuff. I'm not saying that either. What I am calling for, though, is a different level of responsibility that is required. Okay. So AI Cowork, Claude, Claude, okay. The large language model, Claude Cowork, has to be given access to your browser and to all of the files and documents on your device, on your desktop, on your laptop, wherever you put it. And yes, you could create a folder and put things in that folder and tell Claude that it only has access to those things in that folder. And I've seen people doing all of these different videos on the safety of it and how to protect and here's the thing, most business owners are just not going to do that. A lot of founder CEOs are just not tech savvy in the way that a lot of these AI consultants are speaking about when they're trying to explain how to give Claude Cowork parameters. So I need to be clear about something. Understand that these AI tools are in their infancy. And what that means is if the AI tool is in its infancy, so are the security parameters around the tool, right? So as with any other piece of tech, they are learning over time. So you use the tool, all of these millions of people around the world use the tool. And then, then all of a sudden you have an issue with prompt injections. And so they have to build security around that. And then you have, issues with data breaches and leaks and things of that nature. They have to build security around that. And so just the same way that the tool is in its infancy, the security infrastructure that holds the tool, that supports the tool, is also in its infancy. And so you have to understand that first of all, when you use any type of tech, there's a risk associated with it, right? And so you have to determine your own risk tolerance. The other thing that you have to understand is that one of the risks of being an early adopter, which I am an early adopter, and so I understand my own risk tolerance, right? Like I've already decided what my risk tolerance is. My husband and I have sat down, we've had conversations about what the risk tolerance for our businesses will be with regard to AI and any other tech that comes out that's new and that's innovative. And so I understand that. And I want to make it clear, one of the risks that you take being an early adopter is that you become part of the beginning of the experiment. Okay. And so when you don't have certain things in place in your business to protect you, to protect your company, to protect your intellectual property, to protect your clients, that can become a little bit of an issue, right? So let's go back to Claude Cowork. One of the things that people are really excited about is that Claude Cowork can go in and clean up your files, and it can find duplicates, and it can delete duplicates, and it does all of these things, and it frees up all of the space in your computer. The other part of that, though, is that in order to do that, it has to have access to all of the files that are on your computer. And some of the files on your computer contain sensitive information, financial documents, personal identification information, PII, intellectual property, if you're in your business ecosystem, client information, if it's inside your business ecosystem. And what that means is you can set some parameters, but if anything goes wrong with that tool for any reason or another, and it does not work, it will delete files without your permission. It will delete files without your permission. The other part of that is that when it's looking at the data, when it's looking at all of the information that's on your computer, you don't know where that information is being processed. You don't know what other tools or what other companies are able to see that information when it's being processed. Now, Claude says that all of the data goes into some type of thing, cloud, whatever, and it is only accessible by a small number of people on their security team on a need-to-know basis or something like that. The bottom line is it's quite vague. It's not extremely specific when it comes to who gets to see that data. Is that data being deleted at any point in time from their servers? Who gets access to it and how it's being processed, right? Claude also says that they are not using any of the data that they are processing from Claude Cowork to train their models. And you can trust that or you cannot trust that, because the reality is, if it's not true, if that is not indeed true, most business owners don't have the money to sue Anthropic. You don't have the money to fight them in court, even if it wasn't true, even if there was a breach, and they stole some of your intellectual property and used it to train their models, which there are so many users of those tools you'll never know. In most situations, you wouldn't know. You don't have the money to fight them in court. You don't have the money to fight them in court. And so I want us to be cognizant of those realities. And I want us to, so a couple of things. Okay. First, you need to be very clear about what your risk tolerance is. What is your risk tolerance? What are you willing to risk in order to be able to use these tools? Like I said, I am an early adopter for most tools and for most technologies. I am an avid user of artificial intelligence. I believe that artificial intelligence should become a part of the infrastructure of all businesses if you want to continue to lead in the future. Okay, so I believe that. And we have already decided what our risk tolerance is, meaning we have already decided what we are willing to upload into these LLMs. We have already decided, what the parameters are for redacting client information, if that's something that we decide to use. We have decided what tools, so far, we've decided what tools we're using. We have decided what we're going to do when a tool that we use comes out with a new AI feature. We have already made those decisions. We have decided which open systems we're willing to use and which closed systems we are willing to use. And I'll break that down in a different conversation. If you guys want me to, just drop it here in the comments and let me know, because I want to make sure if I'm doing these videos that it's about things that you guys care about, right? And so it's important that you make those decisions, right? We have a decision-making framework for deciding which AI features we're going to use, which tools we're going to use the AI features in, and things of that nature, right? We have a method by which we evaluate the AI components of tools when they're released in the tools that we already use, right? Because you can't stop them from releasing the AI upgrades. Okay, you can't stop them from releasing the AI upgrades, and you can't complain about the fact that they've released the AI upgrades. The only thing that you can do is you can decide where you're going to draw the line. And that decision needs to be made before, because here's the thing, okay? There was a report that came out from Gartner last year. And I believe by 2028, pretty much every single tool that you use in your business is going to have an AI embed. It's going to have an AI component to it. And you don't have any control over that. Like it's not like you can, what are you going to do? You're going to go to Asana and be like, if you don't remove the AI from your tool, I'm leaving. Do you think they care? Because they don't. Yeah, they don't. Yeah, no, nobody cares. No, they don't care. So you can't control what those companies do. You can only control what you decide to do. And in order for you to be able to make informed decisions, you have to decide what your risk tolerance is before you get to the point to where you need to be discussing what your risk tolerance is. Okay. Something else that I want to bring up here, and I'm gonna introduce it here. And if you want me to break it down further, then I want you to let me know in the comments, because let me just say this. I am becoming a lot more intentional about how I use social media, and especially given the restrictions and all of these other different kinds of things and all of that. And so what I don't want to do is or what I'm not going to do, let's just say that, is do video after video after video after video, knowing that, there's a possibility that it's not necessarily going to be pushed out. And we're doing videos about things that nobody cares about, right? So if you care about those things, because we're gonna be having these conversations with the people on our email list, the founder CEOs who are on our email list, we are going to be having these conversations with them. And I'm going to be having these conversations. We're going to be going in depth into what it really means, into what you really need to understand. So we're having those conversations privately with our email list. As far as the public audience is concerned, you probably should get on my email list. I'm just going to be honest with you. If you want a lot more of that, kind of in-depth, a deeper understanding, and a lot more of the practical application of the things that I'm talking about, then you definitely want to be on my email list. And so if you want to get on my email list, let me know. Right now there are 2 ways that you can get onto my email list. If you have purchased one of our products or services, then you are already on our email list. If you have not, then of course, you can purchase one of our products and services. Easiest way is to book that 15-minute CEO clarity call with me. The link is in the bio. Or you can take our email marketing money readiness assessment. Those are the 2 ways you can get onto our email list right now. There's a third way, but that third way is for a very specific founder CEO. And so the founder CEOs who are in that category know who they are, and they know where to go and find that, right? So anyway, I say all that to say that if you want me to break this down even further, let me know in the comments so that I can say, okay, well, it's going to be worth it for me to come back. Okay, so I want to introduce this, and then, many of you are allowing your employees to use AI. For many of you, your employees are using AI and they're not telling you. And for those of you who work with contractors, trust and believe that the contractors are using AI. Okay. Now follow me, because I'm not saying that this is a bad thing. Follow me, stay with me. Okay. They're already using AI. What you need to do as a founder CEO is there are some things that you need to put in place. And let me be clear. There's a difference in how you do this when you are working with employees versus when you are outsourcing or when you're working with contractors and when you're outsourcing work to other companies. Okay. So internally, there are at the very least 3 documents that you need to have. 3 documents that you need to have. The first one is an AI governance policy. Everybody in your company needs to sign an AI governance policy. Okay. You need an AI use policy. Everybody in your company needs to sign an AI use policy. And you need AI guiding principles. Okay. Everybody in your company needs to sign an acknowledgement of those AI guiding principles. Everybody, including the janitor and the people who work facilities, for those of you who have larger companies. So I'm going to say that again. Three documents, okay? Everybody needs to sign an AI use policy. Everybody needs to sign an AI governance policy. Everybody needs to sign acknowledgement of your AI guiding principles. Okay? Okay? All right. Now, if you are working with contractors, okay, or if you're outsourcing work, this is going to be a little bit different. Okay, so I told you what you need to do if you're going to be working with your employees. Now, if you're working with contractors or you are outsourcing work, this is different Because as a contractor or as somebody that is outsourced, that you're outsourcing the work to, they don't work for you. Okay. So here's what you can do, or here's what you should be doing. Okay. I'm not going to tell anybody who I outsource to that they can't use AI. That's ridiculous. That's, at this point, that is so unwise. It's absolutely ridiculous, right? However, what I will tell you is that, and I will make clear in an addendum to the contract, that you cannot use any of my intellectual property to train any of your AI models. You cannot use any of my intellectual property to utilize AI to extrapolate from my intellectual property frameworks and products and services that you now have, because you have trained your AI on my intellectual property. Okay. So if you're outsourcing, you need to, first of all, you need to know what AI tools they're using. Okay. So you have the right to disclosure, and that is something that you can put in the contract addendum, right? I'm not going to tell you that you can't use AI. What I am going to ask for is a list of the AI tools that you are using to do the work that you are doing for me. Okay. So I'm not going to tell you that you can't use AI. What I am going to ask for is open disclosure about the AI tools that you are using to do work for me, and open disclosure about how you use AI to do that work for me. Okay, that's what needs to be in the addendum to the contract, right? So what AI tools are you using? How do you use how do you use those AI tools to do the work that you do for me? And I will say this, for those of you who are contractors, and you do project-based work and people are signing contracts with you in order to do this work. What you want to do is you want to go ahead and just include this addendum in your contracts. It would make it a lot easier, right? Just go ahead and include this into your contracts. If you are on the client side of this, and you don't see that addendum, or you don't see that addition in their contracts, you can ask for that addendum. I'm not going to tell you that you can't use AI tools. What I do want is a list of the tools that you're going to use specifically to do the work that you do for me, as well as an explanation of how you use those tools to do the work that you do for me, and making it extremely clear that while I totally support the use of you using AI to do your work, what we will not have is you using my intellectual property to train your AI models so that you can create new assets from what your AI has learned from my intellectual property. One of the other things that you want to ask is if they're using an open system or a closed system. Okay, so the way that I define a closed system is something like Cassidy AI, where Cassidy AI is all internal to the business, and it's typically only trained. Now they do access the LLMs for their AI to create what it creates. However, in that tool, it's trained very specifically on what is in your business. So this would be something like Cassidy AI. For those who are in the Microsoft ecosystem using Microsoft Copilot without the web grounding, if they have the web grounding turned off, then that makes it a completely closed system. And so if you're working with someone who utilizes, who's in the Microsoft ecosystem and they use Microsoft Copilot, you want to ask them, do you have the web grounding off or on? Because if the web grounding is on, then that's an open system, and that actually creates an additional level of risk. And if it's a closed system, there's still some risk there, but there's a lesser amount of risk, right? So you want to know, are you, the work that you're doing for me, are any of you, what systems are open and what systems are closed? What AI tools are you using, and how are you using those tools to do the work that you do for me? And then being very clear about the fact that you cannot use my intellectual property to train your AI models so that you can now gain and create new assets from what your AI models have learned from my intellectual property. Okay. Now we're going to be going deeper into this, and I'm not sure exactly how I'm going to do it, but it's going to be specifically with the people on our email list. So, let me know if you want to, if you want access to that. If you want me to explain it a little bit deeper here, let me know in the comments. I will say that to explain it much deeper is going to be a much longer video, and I'll probably go into it, but I won't go into it as deeply as I will with the people on my email list. So let me know if you want to get on my email list, if you want me to break it up, if you want me to break it down here, just let me know, okay? I am going to go ahead and get my day started. And founder CEOs, I need you all to take really, really, really good care of yourselves until I see you again next time. And talk to me in the comments, okay? All right, bye.